I'm the world's leading real estate trainer today, and I teach people how to buy and sell houses without using their money or credit all over North America. And because I personally teach my events, I hear the same things over and over everywhere I go, no matter what city I'm in. People are hating more and more of what they do. I'm not in control of my life, and I have to work 70 hours a week, whether I like it or not. To take your life back and build your own business is really what we are here to do.
When it comes to Ron LeGrand, there's nobody else that has had more of an impact on our real estate investing business. Ron himself has invested in more than 3,000 single-family homes himself. So he knows what he's doing. He's been through all the failures and the mistakes to teach us and other students.
Our folks come in, they start wherever they like. I like to teach people how to be a transaction engineer. There's all kinds of ways to make money in real estate. And if you only see one way, then you're walking through the business with blinders on and usually walking over the dollars to get to the dimes. Real estate is a vehicle to generate cash, not to bury cash.
It's amazing, just 2 years ago when I was working a day job at a restaurant and quitting that to go do the real estate full time, I've made more money in one transaction than I ever made in 1 year working at a restaurant.
My goal is to get people out of a job and into freedom by taking control of their own financial destiny. It's all about freeing up your time so you can enjoy life.
Because of Ron LeGrand, we were able to triple our income and go from 6 figures a year to 7 figures a year within that first year of meeting Ron.
The common objection, I don't have time, I don't have money, it's not for me. Ron's had 18-year-old kids go through this program, make $30,000. It works for anybody.
We have a community, and that's what it is. It's a community. It's a great big family. So we're not going to run you in a seminar and love you and leave you in the morning. We're going to be there when you get out of the seminar, and we expect this relationship to keep going for a lot of years into the future. Once you enter Planet Ron, as I call it, you're in it for life.
Well, hello there, and welcome. I'm Ron LeGrand. I'm glad you joined me today for this lesson on commercial properties. Before I get started, John, let's handle questions, if you will.
Yeah, so Ron is going to be taking questions a little bit later on. Anything you want to ask him, put a Q in front. Just type it there in the comment section from wherever you're watching. Put a Q, put your question. I'm going to mark that question, and we'll ask it to Ron later. And if some of you are brave enough, we'll give you the opportunity a little bit later to use your webcam and talk to Ron live in person. So that's an option too. I'll let you know how to do that a little bit later when we take some Q&A.
John, they don't have to be brave to talk to me. Okay. On questions. Please, when you submit your questions, ask yourself, would I understand what this means if I was on the other end and I'm the one getting it, not the one writing it? And if it doesn't, rewrite it so we can understand it so we don't have to go back and forth on. And try to keep your questions to subjects that I've discovered. Sometimes I do cuss at them. I've discovered. And if not, don't worry about it. Get them in there. And if I don't answer them during the event, which I will, all of them we get today, you write down ask@ronlegrand.com, ask@ronlegrand.com. You can submit your questions anytime on any subject that you want to talk about. So that's available to you, residential and commercial. All right, most of you know I'm the residential guru, have been most of my adult life, still am today, still do deals, but I thought I'd bring you the other side. The side where you make the big hits, lifetime money today, and we still do it without using our money or credit. I'll be showing you some examples of properties that I've done with students. In fact, almost all the properties I've done in the last, I don't know, maybe 15 years I've done with students. The students put up no money, and they don't use their credit, and they get a big chunk of the profits. So I'm going to give you a chance to do the same thing. I'll give you an opportunity to get into my 3-day training here in Jacksonville, commercial boot camp, coming up in July. And I'm going to give you a 60% off offer. And then you're going to decide whether you want to come or not. Now, what I find with a lot of folks is they act like they're not interested in commercial because they really don't know anything about commercial. All right. When you come visit me for 3 days, you'll find out quickly if you want to work with commercial, and I bet you will by the time I spend 3 days with you. And I want you to know it's not a full-time business. It has nothing to do with your residential business. You don't stop one to start the other. You keep your residential business going. You use our system so that you don't have hardly any work to do during the entire week. That gives you plenty of time to look for commercial deals, most of which is going to be online anyway, so you don't even have to leave your desk to do most of the work with commercial. In fact, there really isn't that much work. Searching for the deals online is you'll spend more time doing that than you will anything else. And I'll give you a chance to partner with me on the commercial deals if you wish, or get us to guide you through them even if you don't want to partner on the deal. So I think I got you covered today. So I'll get to work and we'll show you how much money we're talking about in commercial. Let's put it this way. None of the deals earn less than 6 figures, and some of them will earn more than 7 figures as we go through this. Now, I'm a simple guy. I like simple projects. I'm going to talk about 2 or 3 in here that are more complicated. It'll probably go right by you. Don't worry about it. I'm attempting to show you how we do business without using our money and our credit. And in fact, this building I'm sitting in right now is one of those examples. So pay attention very closely, and don't even think about asking yourself, will that work for me? Will it work here? Will it work now? I'm special, and, like I live in California, so everything's different. It's not true. Okay, it's just not true. What I'm going to teach you will work pretty much anywhere in America and also in Canada as well. So let's get going right now. Suggest you turn your phone off. Turn it off, the sound off, but leave it on, because you're going to want to take pictures of screens as we go through, unless you can just do a screenshot, depending on what you're watching this on today. I go to a seminar live. I take the phone and shoot the screen, and that's how I take notes. And I might want to do the same. So how to break into it. This thing is designed for folks that are not in commercial yet, or they're barely in commercial and want to actually get the big money out of it and move up the ladder. So why do you want to go into commercial? Well, there's some really good reasons. Frankly, the one at the top's the best. Big profits, okay? Residential houses produce nice big checks, but absolutely nothing compared to what commercial property will produce. In fact, if it don't produce the big checks, there's no reason for you to get involved in it. So one of the things you're going to learn along the way is how to analyze these deals and figure out what my exit strategy is going to be before I go in. And if you actually want to take an income producing property and just keep it after you turn it around, how to get that financed as well without recourse, which most of these properties you can get non-recourse refinances on after you've done whatever it takes to get the property ready to refinance. Then you have a choice of either keeping it, which I strongly suggest, or selling it, which is okay too. But I can tell you, keeping it will make you a whole lot more money than selling it will. But that's a personal decision, which I'm very happy to help you with when you get to that point. Less competition, obviously. Less competition, like many times more competition in the houses, of course, because it's so simple and anybody can jump right into it and get it done, especially wholesaling. And, that's what everybody thinks about the residential real estate business, which is part of it, In commercial, we create our own value. That means we find properties that are undervalued, that are likely income producing properties, but they are undervalued because they have a problem. All right, I'm not looking for commercial properties unless they have a problem. We make our money by fixing that problem, just like we do in the house business. The house has either got a seller problem or it's got a house problem, meaning it needs renovated. We're buying it at a discounted price because we intend to fix that problem and selling it for a lot more than we got in it, or in time refinancing it if it's an income producing, like apartment complex or so forth. When you do commercial deals, you're going to get noticed by people in the commercial world after you take them down, okay? When you take down a project, opportunity is going to come at you from all kinds of places that you never even knew were possible. Not to mention, it gives you a ton of credibility to do the next deals on your own. Now, I'm here to help you get through your first deal or two, where you don't need any credibility. And in fact, you don't need the money, because I'm available to you to partner with you. And usually I put up the money. If I do, I'll get to that later, but you split is much smaller. On the other hand, if you don't have any money in it, you don't have any credit in it, you got nothing to lose. And I'm going to tell you, every project I'm going to show you, every project that I've done with my students, which is almost all of them, they didn't put up a nickel, and they certainly didn't sign on any debt. So I'm going to start getting that out of your head there right now. You think you got to have a lot of money, you think you got to have good credit. None of that is true. None of it's true. And your circle of people that you know are going to be, they're commercial minded. You're hanging around the right people. A lot of people in the commercial world were rich, and a lot of them, that's how they got rich. Okay, not the only way to get rich in America, but on the other hand, who says you only need one way? Commercial is something I think you should be doing while you're getting rich in single family, and then there's other things you can be doing simultaneously to that. I'm always looking for another income stream. For example, I'm getting heavily involved in stocks right now. I haven't been most of my life. I'm going to get involved in it right. I'm doing pretty well at it too, I got to tell you, from a guy that don't know anything about it, but I am learning fast. Where I am with stocks right now is where you might be in real estate. Okay, mostly lost, trying to figure it out as we go, and trying to make some money as we go. And I've been successful in doing that so far. So, say a prayer for me, the market don't crash on me. But that's a good point. What if the debt market did crash? Guess what? It's going to come back up. Real estate's always going down, coming back up with a vengeance. Stocks go down as well, come back up with a vengeance. So we got to learn to live with those things that are part of making a big killing, because we don't get in a hurry to get out of it just because, let's say the market right now is a little slow on residential houses. I see it starting to pick up though. It's been down a little last couple of years. So here's a question for you. If your house went down, say 30% year before last, what difference does that make if you're not trying to sell it? Okay. When it goes back up, might be when you sell it. Same with stocks. When they go down, you don't sell them. That's a dumb thing to do. You wait for them to go back up, and they will. Most of them will. And you work with very little risk, just like you do in real estate. And I'm very adamant about that, as you well know if you know me. I like to operate without risk, or at least very minimal risk, because I've done all the risking I want to do in my life. At one time, I had 21 commercial projects going simultaneously in 9 different states, most of them with risk, and I'm not going back there. All right. So you want to come work with me, I'm going to teach you how to do this right, so nobody's ever going to come after you to take your marbles, because I'm also going to set you up so that, even if you get sued for something and they win, they aren't going to get anything from you. All right. That's one of the things I learned along the way. It takes longer to get paid, no question about it. All right. Houses, you get paid within days, weeks at the most, usually. Commercial property, you get paid in months at the very least, and maybe even in years. But when you get those big checks, boy, that wasn't so bad. Look at that check, that wasn't so bad. It's like renovating a house. All that work and all that grief and all that junk and all that risk. But when you get that check, that wasn't so bad. A lot more upfront due diligence on commercial property, a lot more. And in fact, a lot of the deals crash and burn because of that due diligence. There's a lot of things I'm going to want to know about a property. Even a piece of land, you're going to see I like land. I like simple land deals, but I still going to do my due diligence on them before I even put them, before I buy them. And so make sure that I don't fall into any traps because I didn't know what due diligence to do on them, which a lot of people do. Anyone who buys a commercial property without due diligence is an idiot. I'll tell you that right now, because there's a lot of deals, at least half the deals fall through during due diligence. I've lost quite a few myself during due diligence. Not my fault, okay? Things that I had to find out about the property that nobody disclosed to me because maybe they didn't even know it. I'll show you some examples of that here in a little bit. You don't need very many deals in the commercial world. In fact, I'm going to show you one guy who's right here in Jacksonville, became a multi-millionaire in a 2-year period, building out a life storage unit don't have any of his money in it, don't have any of his credit in it, became multi-millionaire, one deal in cash. He works right here, works for me. In fact, he's the guy that's going to be working with you along with me if you decide to come in and spend a year with us working deals. Again, I'll talk to you about my commercial mastermind group later, but that's a group where we do deals together, not just a group where we get together and chat for 3 days or 2 days. Bigger deposits are required, and upfront due diligence money is required on commercial property, and that will run in the thousands, not in the hundreds. I mean, not like 50,000 or anything like that, but it's going to take a few $1,000s just to even get ready to do a deal before you okay it. Another good thing, though, my deposit that I give, usually I buy them through realtors. If I buy them through realtors, I still don't give them more than a couple, $3,000 deposit in the commercial world. If I'm buying with FSBOs, I don't even give them that. All right. So you got to know that I'm going to get a minimum of a 60-day due diligence period, and sometimes more. And that deposit is not at risk during that period. I can get that money back anytime I want and bail out of the deal anytime I want, unlike residential properties. So types of commercial, the answer is most all types. Mobile homes, land, I love land. Anything that's income producing, like, apartments, shopping centers, warehouses, if it's income producing, you're going to find that they are analyzed very similarly, different numbers, but the due diligence you got to do on anything producing income is pretty much the same with very little variance. So I am a generalist. Most commercial people are specialists. For example, retail shopping centers. We got a family here in town that owns, I don't know, a ton of these things. It got to be worth over $1 billion just for retail shopping centers. Very well known, and as far as I know, that's what they do. But I'm happy to go after anything that I can see a big profit in, that is worth the time, and it's going to make a lot of money. I mean, to me, it doesn't matter as long as it's income producing. In land, I don't have any income. We just flip the land after we buy it. Don't even touch it, as you'll see here in a minute when I show you some examples. So you want to be a specialist? That's fine with me. Want to be good at what you are looking for? It's fine with me. I just kind of get bored looking for the same thing over and over. So I like to work with different types of projects along the way. Office buildings, I don't care what they are, as long as they're income producing and they have an upside. By the way, that's a good point. If I don't see any upside, I'm not going to buy the property. Neither are you. Okay. We don't pay retail price for properties. Hedge funds do that. Big investors do that. Out of country investors do that. They want to buy a retail price because they don't have to do any work to get it ready. The income is already there, and it's a very small rate of return while they're holding it, and they're counting on selling it whenever the time is right with a big profit on the back end. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not the way I buy houses. I buy commercial property. I buy them where they're not ready to do that yet. No, it's our job to get them ready, or just get out of them right now. You can wholesale commercial properties just like you can residential properties. All right. Here's what I look for and why. When it's income producing, one of the immediate identifiers are large vacancy or totally vacant. That means it's probably been foreclosed on and there's no tenants in it whatsoever. Or needs renovation. And quite often it's a combination of those two. Might be vacant because it needs renovation and the seller just can't or won't get it done. Or it's in foreclosure. You'll see a lot more of them coming up. I read an article this morning that there's 118,000 houses being foreclosed on right now. And I don't count all the ones that are already in the pipeline prior to that, within the last few months. Owner issues. Sometimes you run across owner issues, which creates motivation for them to sell. Or maybe projects with excess land on it that I can use for whatever purpose is suitable for that land, or which will increase the value of the property, or land underzoned. Land underzoned is something that I've worked pretty heavily on, and the whole goal is very simple. Buy the land underzoned, rezone it, and sell it at its rezoned price. Sometimes I can double or triple the value of the property just by rezoning it. So all of those, or frankly, buy land, don't do a darn thing to it, which is, I even like that better. Okay. I'll show you a couple, 3 of those that I've done as well. Now, I'm probably going to be too complicated for you if I get into these residential properties. So don't worry about that, because honestly, I don't expect you to know this stuff till you come and get trained by me. And I promise you, there's deals on commercial property within 2 miles of where you live, and I don't care where you live. You just got to learn to recognize them. Yeah, most people can't see those deals. When you learn what the deal looks like and why, on any income producing property or any piece of land, right down to a small piece of land between 2 buildings, for example, if you can see that value can be raised, a lot of times by rezoning. Sometimes we don't do anything to it. We just buy it cheap, and then I hire a realtor to sell all of these things. So very simple. I buy it, which, you know, it's a seminar all in its own, because when I buy it, I don't buy like everybody else does, and I got some cool clauses we use and some cool things I've learned along the way to take the risk away, as well as getting a better deal on my side. So first, I want to start with an apartment complex that I had under contract in Memphis, Tennessee. In fact, get this, it had 200 units, and my purchase price was only, they were asking $1 million, got them down to $550,000 for 200 units apartment complex. Now, if you look at the outside of it, totally vacant, incidentally, it was bank owned. Outside of this thing, I mean, when they accepted that offer, I got excited, because you just don't buy 200 apartments for $550,000. All right, you just don't. All right, so I put it under contract for exactly what they were asking. Couldn't get inside, couldn't see the inside. So finally, I got on my plane, and I went up and I started looking at this thing. And as you can see from the outside, there isn't a whole lot to do there. You know, that is until we got in on the inside. And I'll show you the inside here just a second. You understand what I'm talking about. We had 60 days to do our due diligence, which is what I was doing when I flew up there. I gave them, I don't remember, the deposit was very small. Then we went to see the property after we did all. There weren't even any pictures of the inside. You know, if I'd have seen pictures of the inside, I wouldn't even went up there, to be honest with you. So I got up there, and there's a great big old wrought iron fence around this thing. It must have been a $100,000 fence. I couldn't even get in. I had to call a realtor to come over there and meet me just to get in. And then we got inside. And then reality steps in. There were 200 units sitting there, and vandals have been going in that thing, and they literally destroyed all 200 units. I'm surprised they even left the cabinets, if you want to know the truth. But they took everything else. I'm talking about the copper out of the wiring out of the walls and anything else. And every single unit looked like this. Look at the mold on the floor there. Every single unit. And boy, the air just leaked right out of me when we started looking at these things. And here's why. If I purchased it for $550,000, I know it cost a minimum of $20,000 per unit. And frankly, that's probably too conservative. Because remember now, that has to include anything you do to the outside, anything you do to the roofs. The roof looked okay, fortunately, but that was probably underestimating it. So, and I knew the other cost of getting the money, paying cash for the money, and all the other costs involved other than repairs, which includes closing costs, getting in and getting out and all that, commission, getting in, getting out. So I'd have $5 million in the property. And the ARV, after totally renovated and rented, was only $5 million. So it took me a while to decide, this doesn't look like a deal to me. Now, here's the problem. It was in Memphis, and at that time, the rents were averaging about $425 a month. That was the real problem. Because the rents were so low, it drove down the ARV. You know, if that thing would have been worth $10 million, not $5 million, we'd have been all over it. And to make it worth $10 million, that only means we needed about a $900 a month rent, which is pretty low for an apartment, but that wasn't the case in Memphis back then. So due diligence killed the deal. We had no choice, bail out. As far as I know, that thing sat there for years. I don't even know if it's ever been sold. I couldn't have taken it if the bank gave it to me, because I'd still wind up losing money on it. You can see that. So why problem properties? Well, because I said before, I'm not interested in buying property somebody else has already done. You know, same like I'm not interested in going out and paying retail price for a house, and I'm going to pay cash to buy either. I've got to create value when I get the property. I'm not interested in just getting it to own it, even though that's not a bad idea in itself. It's still a good rate of return on one's money, but that means they got to put up a down payment, a good sizable one, go to the bank, get financing on the thing, probably personally guarantee the debt, maybe not. But either way, they're going to get a positive cash flow every month, but the property is going to eat most of that up. And you're betting it take a while to get paid in the apartment business, because the only revenue you're going to get are what they're paying now. Of course, you'll know that before you ever close on it. And again, that might be enough to give you a good single-digit return while you're holding it. But then think of all the grief and problems that are going to be in that thing while you're holding on to it. Some people do just exactly that and hold on to them for life, and that's a great retirement. So I can't argue with that if that's your intent. But I am not going to buy it unless I can see a way to increase the value and then either sell it or refinance to get out of it. So that's why we want problem. If the property don't have a problem, I'm not interested in it. Again, it can be a seller problem or it can be a property problem. I'm looking for problems. Remember the vacancy part, the renovation part, like the one I just showed you. Sometimes it's actually seller problems, partners, family, inherited, things like that. So what to avoid? Properties without a problem. Okay, that makes them easy to screen out from the front end before you even pull them up and take a look at the rest of the facts. When you can see that a high vacancy, or that looks like what low rents for your area, once you get accustomed to that. Properties in a war zone, you know what that is. That's where a lot of crime takes place, a lot of drugs takes place. You know where they are, where you live, and if you don't, not hard to locate them. Talk to people that are in the business, and they'll point out the areas where you might want to stay out of. On the other hand, war zone doesn't bother me, but I've been at this a long time. I know how to handle these folks. I'm not going to be collecting the rent anyway, so I'm not going to be renting it, period. I've got somebody else. So you hire people to do that for you. So on the other hand, if it's in the war zone, that means the rents are going to be less. But on the other hand, the price is going to be less as well. I can get as much cash flow or more in a war zone than I can outside the war zone, just because I can buy it a whole lot cheaper. And that means that I'm still going to rent it out, turn it around, make sure that I got a nice return on investment. We call that an ROI in it to sell it. So properties in war zones are selling just like the ones that are outside of war zones, but probably to two different types of buyers. Or hedge funds are likely not going to buy one in the war zones. Unrealistic owners who want all cash and retail price. Imagine that. Imagine the nerve of these people who want retail price and all cash for their property. I can't get mad at them. I'm going to soon be one of them. So I'm just not going to do business with them. And I'm going to get them out just like that. So I'm going to teach you how to, literally within seconds, decide whether this thing is a deal or a dud based on the math. Any property with an advertised cap rate of 8% or less. Cap rate is something that I will teach you, but I can tell you that 8% means that the property is at retail price. The higher the cap rate, the less you got to pay for the property. I'll let that sink in. You can figure it out until I get a chance to train you on it. So properties that are advertised at a low cap rate are really advertised at retail price. Wasting my time. Land at retail price, there's a caveat here. It depends. For example, if I'm buying a piece of land zoned agricultural, and the whole intent is to raise the value of it by rezoning it and maybe get something approved. The more units per acre that I can get approved, the more valuable the acreage is. See, I know all that stuff. I'd be happy to pay retail at the lower listing price, and because I know I'm going to raise the value of that thing by doing what I'm going to I'm going to do, and the reason that I'm buying the properties. I hope that makes sense. But I'm paying retail for any income producing property. Identifiers: large vacancy, low or no income, poor condition, and low asking price per unit or per acre, or per pad for mobile home parks, or per square foot for land, whatever, depending on the type of property that you're looking for. Now, how to buy with none of your own money. Now, look, this is maybe a little complicated first time you hear it. Frankly, it's not complicated at all. Subordination means that the seller is willing to take back a second mortgage, allowing you to put a new first mortgage on the property, and I'm referring to private money that you don't personally guarantee. Not really loan shark money, private money, which you're going to learn to get all you want of, hanging around Planet Ron. Money from people who want to get a high rate of return, not from people that are in the loan business. In other words, you make the rules. So if the seller's willing to take a second, then I'm going to get a new first big enough to pay the seller's down payment and to do all the work on the property that needs to get done to turn it around. So I'm going to get a new, I'm going to use the property to raise the money to buy the property. And I'm going to borrow more than I need. If I can't borrow more than I need, I'm not going to do the deal. It's that simple. So when I do this, I always construct the second mortgage with no payments and no interest on some kind of a several years later. And this is only going to work when the seller's got a reason to want to do it. Apparently, they're having a hard time selling it. Maybe it needs repairs. In fact, I'll show you an example of it. This is was a daycare center in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where I had a 108 unit horizontal subdivision. I also had a restaurant up there at one time. 6,000 feet. The owner wanted to sell it. He had a daycare center in it, and he owed about 400 on it. So I gave him a $400,000 down payment, but I didn't write the check. He took back a second for $250,000. So I'm into the property totally for $650,000, and it appraised for more than that. Now, where did I get the down payment money is the key here. I went to the bank and I borrowed a new first mortgage of $450,000 on it. Remember, the property was worth at least $750,000. Okay, so that was a low loan to value for the bank, and so I gave the seller got $400,000 of it, which he didn't get it. It paid off his loan, and then he just got a note for the $250,000 due within, I think, 3 years with no payments and no interest. And I come home with enough cash to actually do the repairs we wanted to do on the property to convert it to office. We were doing a fractional unit up there. Fractionals need an office to show the properties and so forth, and this was very near the project. So came home with $38,000, more than I needed. Now, this is where it gets complicated. So I got a new first for $450,000 with a $3,700 payment from a bank. And by the way, I got it. My partner didn't get it. So I want you to look at this like you're the partner. He didn't put up a nickel. He didn't guarantee any debt. I had to guarantee that debt. Right? So when it's all over, I owed $700. The new first for $450,000 and the second for $250,000. The difference between the first and second is the date they're recorded. Okay, so obviously the closing agent had to record the $450,000 first and then record the $250,000 second. No payments and no interest. So there was 6,000 square feet in that unit, and I wanted to use 2,000 for our office. So that left 4,000 to rent. And we knew that the rent on that 4,000 would come in at least $5,000 a month on that 4,000 square feet. So our mortgage payment was $370. So literally, we had a positive cash flow of $1,300 a month plus free rent on the 2,000 that we were using. So I bought the building kind of as an investment, but with the intent to use it for an office, got money at closing, and had a positive cash flow even over and above what it took to pay back the debt. So if you want to take a picture of that, I'm relatively certain that went, don't worry about it. Just take the picture and you study it. In fact, I'll back it up if you want to. Get your camera ready. I use subordination quite a bit in my career. Take a picture of that. That's one. Or, screen save it if you haven't already. That's two. Because you got to probably work on it to understand these numbers. And by the way, why did the seller do that? Because all the seller cared about was getting that loan paid off. He had no problem taking back that second. In his mind, if he'd ever got paid on that second, and he'd lived through it. It wasn't that big of a deal. Subordination, got it. That's the big one right there. And then here's how I turned it into free rent plus $1,300 a month positive cash flow. All right, let's go to the next one. Might recognize that building because I'm sitting in it right now. That's my office building here in Jacksonville, Florida. It's about 13,000 square feet. 2-story office building. And I bought it in 1995. It's a bank repo. A builder was in it, and they foreclosed on it. Beautiful building. Beautiful inside, beautiful outside, as you'll know when you come down to see me. They were asking $650 for the property. I knew it was worth at least $750, and doing some comps on it and getting help from. I got help from a realtor to help me determine what it was worth. And I made an offer to purchase it for $550. They were asking $650. They accepted $550 with no contingencies, and that's the key, my friend. There was no contingencies in this offer. I found out later they had another offer on the table for $650, contingent upon them getting financing. They accepted my offer of $550, contingent upon nothing except a clear title. Well, all of them are contingent upon that, residential or commercial. Right? So I didn't borrow anything, but I had a friend working for me at that time, and he had excellent credit, and he had an IRA and all that. So we made a deal. He went to the bank and got the $412,000 first mortgage on the property, and guess what? He went to the bank that owned the property. That's the best place to go get the monies, from the bank that owns the property that's already defaulted. However, we had to bring in $137,500 down payment, and for the bank for it to equal $550. Right? So he used his IRA to put up the down payment, and he borrowed the money from the bank because I couldn't qualify at that time. Now look at both of them. Both of them combined were a 73% loan to value ratio, so you can see why their lender didn't have any problem at all. They were very well secured. So I didn't guarantee any debt. I didn't put up any money. My partner did them both for 50% ownership of the property. Later, I traded him a couple of fourplexes for his interest, not some of his equity, all of his equity, to pay him back and to pay his IRA back. And then, of course, I paid on the mortgage for years. In fact, I paid the mortgage off. It's a 15-year loan. I paid it off monthly. So actually, that's not true. Later on, I financed it myself, I think, and then paid that one off 15 years, whatever. You see how I got into the deal. I used the property to raise the money for the down payment to buy the property by getting someone else to put, it's kind of just a partner deal is what it was, which is what you have the right to do as well. Now, I like land. Now, this is 100 acres in Forney, Texas, which is Dallas. Right. We got my partner out in Dallas got wind of this property and said that all of it was zone OR, except the 32 acres that you're looking at in the green there. OR is about the lowest zoning there is. It wasn't being used. In fact, right where it's circled there in blue, that's a school. Now look at the property to the right of the school in white, right below the blue line. That's 32 acres. That was already ready to do some commercial stuff on, and we knew that. Now we knew that 32 acres was worth a lot more per foot than the rest of the property. Okay, catch up with me. We put that property under contract for $11 million, and it was 800 acres. Man, 800 acres is a lot of land. I mean, think about how big your property is and do the multiple on it. 800 acres, right? A lot of land. It just went on forever. There was civilization all around it. It ain't like it was out in the woods somewhere. So anyway, we contracted to buy it with $1.2 million down, and then biannual payments, I think, to pay the interest, which is 4 or 5% on it. So we had the 32 acres appraised as is for what did we appraise it at? $5.5 million. So I got a new loan on it for $3 million. and with a low loan to value ratio. Out of that, I had to give the seller $750,000 to release that 30 acres from the loan he had on the property by taking back seller financing. It's a good thing I set that up ahead of time, and I'm going to give you the clause to do it here in a minute to make sure that I didn't have to go back and ask for the seller's permission. It was built right into the agreement going in, which, you know, we didn't have to argue about it later. So I had to raise $750,000 to pay him to release that land, and another $3 million to I got a $3 million loan, I'm sorry, which $750,000 came out to pay him and $1.2 million came out to pay the down payment to the seller. Okay. So I used the seller's land to raise the money to pay the seller. And of course, he financed the rest. I can't remember how many years at some interest rate. It was interest only. And I came home with over $1 million in cash, which we used to put into other properties along the way. Altogether, I had 3 projects in Dallas. Now, you want to take a screenshot of this because this is what got the land to be released for only $750,000. Remember, it was worth $5.5 million. We got it appraised. Right? Seller will release any part of the land for the same price per square foot as the buyer paid for it. You take a minute and study that. That means that up front, part of the note, it said we could release any part of it for the same price we paid for it. Obviously, the property was worth maybe 3 times per square foot as the rest of the acreage that was on rural OR. And you know, that's what went through my head when I constructed this offer. So I literally, and this isn't even a subordination deal. Seller took back a first mortgage, but I knew ahead I had to release that land because that's the reason we bought the whole thing. Honestly, we didn't even know what we were going to do with the other 770 acres or whatever it was. It didn't really care because we were really after that 32 acres. So, I mean, there were so many things we could have done with that property. And this was before 08, by the way, which killed all development pretty much everywhere. All right. So, all right, they're going to get less complicated going forward, so relax. All right. Now, here's another apartment complex. This was in Flint, Michigan. They said that I could buy those 100 units, I think, for $500,000. But I went up there, same problem. All of them were completely vacant, boarded up, vandalized. But you need to know that your government, HUD Section 221D, is a program to buy and renovate apartments like this. You'll need to raise about 7% or so, last time I looked, in equity, which somebody else puts up that money. And then they'll finance up to 93% of what it's going to be worth after it's rehabbed. And then they'll hold some money for repairs and release it as you go based on an agreement you do before you close the loan. Problem was, same problem. The rents were so low on that property and the repairs were so high that it did not make sense. We'd actually have more in the property than it's worth. And plus that, it was in Flint, Michigan, not exactly the mega capital of the world where people want to move into. As I recall, people were moving out faster than they were moving in. And by the way, these loans are non-recourse, no personal liability on any of these government loans. But the property's got to be in excellent shape, and the numbers, the net operating income has got to be to the point where the bank will finance it. And that's another thing I'm going to teach you is the definition of DCR, which means debt coverage ratio, because all loans have a debt coverage. In other words, they want more money coming in than it's going to take to pay back the debt on a monthly basis. More net operating income, I mean, coming in to more than pay for that monthly debt. And when you're doing a project like this, you're going to try to calculate all that up front, all right, and verify it before you actually close. Now, that's an apartment complex. This is a life storage building that Mark Mostek, my partner, lives in Jacksonville, my personal assistant's fiance, okay, came to this boot camp. And later, after 2008, we stopped doing everything. So did everybody else. He went out and got a job learning how to analyze properties and package them and so forth for loans. And he came out of there looking for self-storage. He found this one in Springfield, Massachusetts. Trust me, it did not look like that. Okay, it was an old, ugly, boarded up, big box, not boarded up, but a big box building. Okay, they were asking 1.6 for the property. He finally got around to offering them 1.6 for the property. Didn't know where he's going to get the money. Okay, but he did put it under contract, and then he found a partner to close on it, put up the equity, and then go get the loan at the bank. This was a very wealthy partner. All right. Think about this. Mark packaged it all up, ready to get approved. The numbers made sense, conservative numbers. So it wasn't very hard for his partner to jump in and see this is going to make a lot of money. All right. And it did. There's another pictures of it. I mean, it's a beautiful property that Mark did. It took him 2 years now from beginning to end. And altogether, he had about $6 million in it. He didn't. His partner did, between the equity and the loan and the interest and all that stuff. Then somebody got it about 30% occupied. Somebody came along and offered him $19 million for the project. $19 million for the project. Overnight, Mark became a multi-millionaire in cash. Cashola on one project. So, do you think that might change Mark's life a little? Well, yeah. Do you think it would change your life a little? I'll say it again. Mark didn't use his money. He didn't use his credit. He used what he knew. He used what he learned. And he got a project worth doing, which is a big key if you want to attract other money to it. And then he put the package together, which, he can probably do for you for some kind of fee when you get to it. But let's worry about that when you get to it, huh? But Ron, these deals all require good credit and down payment. Really? Well, they might require somebody's good credit, but not yours. And they most certainly, if you're going to get new financing, are going to require a down payment, but not yours. That down payment could come from equity, from several partners putting up the money, or it could come from one partner like Mark's did. I'm telling you right now, you get the deal and the deal makes sense, the money will come, but the deal's got to make sense. So let me see. Got 6 million in it, got 19 million out of it. That will probably work. You need about one of those a month, don't you? How did he become a multimillionaire? One project. He didn't guarantee the debt. He didn't put up the money. He just did the work and used his knowledge. All right. I said I like land, underutilized land, and I do. Here's a project I did with a student in Ypsilanti, Michigan, 57 acres. That map of the project came with the deal. And that's in the middle, that's a pond, you see. And that can show you where there's a poison ivy bush right at the edge of that pond. This thing was already platted out for, I don't remember, I think it was 87 houses. Houses all around this piece of land. A farmer owned it. $400,000 houses all around it. Beautiful place. Beautiful piece of land. Perfectly flat except for one corner. It had a little, I think it was a wet spot with trees on it, right? So we bought it with that, but the city hadn't approved that yet. And it's just as well. One of the lessons I've learned over the years is I'll never do that again, because if I'm just trying to sell the property, my buyer probably will come along and want to do something totally different. A waste of time and money. And I did several of those before I finally learned that lesson. All the plans that I created, none were used by my buyer. Okay, so there's no sense creating the plans. So I bought this property. Let me show you how we bought it. Student partner, but guess who put up the money? Purchased it for $650,000 through a broker now. $50,000 down. Yeah, Papa put up that money, and a first mortgage back to the seller for $600,000. And the terms were 3-year balloon and 5% interest only payments twice a year. Plus I had to pay the taxes on it while we had it. Okay, so we owned that property. What did I do? We bought it through a realtor and immediately listed it with another realtor right after we bought it. So we listed it for $1.2 million, and we sold it for $1,025,000. And that's quite a chunk of profit on that one property. And listen to me, I never done anything to the property. I only visited it once in my life. Didn't touch the property. hired a realtor. Realtor did their job. Took them a while. Took a while to get that thing sold because it was selling right in the time when builders were kind of stopped building and they had inventory enough and they didn't want to buy anymore. As it turned out, we wound up selling it to somebody that's building, I forgot what they're putting on it, but they're building it for their own use, is what I'm told. I think it was a senior care facility or something like that. So student got 25% of that deal. Did nothing. Here's a piece of land in Jacksonville, 14 acres. And a student brought this to me, a local student, and said that this thing is going to a tax deed sale in about 4 days. And I said, oh, really? What's your rush? So I didn't have any time to do due diligence on it, I can tell you that, but we did check it out. We did find out it was assessed for $800 and some odd thousand. So anyway, I bought it for $215,000 at the tax deed sale. Yep, that was cash. All right. Now, we didn't do anything to the property. It was already zoned commercial. So obviously we knew that was, in fact, I think we did. We have an appraised, come to think about it, appraised for $1.6 million. All right. So we put it on the market for, I don't know, 1.5 or something like that. And then I got a wetland delineation report on it, which you better not ignore that anytime you're buying a piece of land, because that wetlands has cost me a lot of deals and prevented me from selling some that I thought would be an easy sale. Finally sold them, but this property alone, I didn't have time to do a wetland report before we bought it. And the wetland report said that there was about 4 acres, I think, of this 14 acres that were wet. Problem was, right on the road frontage, there was a big old piece of that wetland right there. So it kind of killed all the usage around that. And I lost several buyers because that wetland was there. And that was a wetland that we could not mitigate and turn into dry land. I forgot what they called it. It was prime wetland as far as the state was concerned. The rest of them we could have. At the price of about $50,000 per acre, we could mitigate that and use it. But it wouldn't be worth it if we did all of that. Now, I'm sorry. You know what? I'm up in Michigan, I think. Yeah, I got another property in Michigan where the wetland was up front. This one's totally different. There was 10 acres of the 14 acres that was wet. And did the air leak out of this balloon when I found that out? Because that destroyed the value of the property. The appraiser appraised it for 1.6, but he didn't know it was 10 acres of it was wet. So it was a worthless appraisal. So when we got that, I had already been listed with a realtor. Anyway, long story short, finally sold it for $695,000. In the back of the wetland, there was 4 acres that was dry. That's the only thing they could build on. What? At the price they paid for it, that was still a good deal, because they'd have paid about that per acre for the whole thing if it wasn't wet. So what did I learn on that one, ladies and gentlemen? Don't ever buy a commercial property without doing the due diligence first. And if you don't have time to do the due diligence, you're a lot better off if you just pass. Now, I can't extend the tax deed sale. They're not going to do it. So I looked it up. I think the assessment was 800 some odd thousand. So I didn't figure I'd go wrong at 215. There you go. It's another case of not doing the due diligence. No, we came out okay. I mean, I shouldn't be bitching about it, I guess, but nowhere near what we could have made. That property would have netted over $1 million net if it just didn't have that 10-acre wetland on it. So I get a little bit of sympathy here on that one. Okay, I understand. Maybe not. Now, that's a local partner. So he got a big chunk of that $695. He didn't do a darn thing except bring me the deal. There's another 13-acre here in Jacksonville, way out on the west side of Jacksonville. That same partner brought me this one. It was 13 acres commercial, and said the owner would sell it for $150,000. I said, okay. Did a little bit of due diligence on it, and I said, all right, let's put it under contract. And I did, and I got a private lender, human, to put up the whole $150,000. So in the time we had it, I had to pay the taxes on it, but we had to make a payment on it because I structured the loan accruing interest. So they got a check for the principal and the interest when that property was sold through a realtor for $500,000. And I can tell you, it came out of the wife's IRA, and she was very happy when she got a great big check back, bigger than the one she loaned on the property. So that was a nothing down deal as well. I mean, nothing down. Yeah, well, I paid cash for it, but I kind of did it with other people's money. Now, I borrowed 100% of the purchase price, but you got to remember the value was considerably several times that. Another deal. All right. I like land. Buy it, sell it, don't touch it. Okay, where did the money come from? I don't know. Some good-looking dude here in Jacksonville. Same place yours is going to come from if you need me. Now, I bought this resort in Ketchikan, Alaska in 2006. This resort, I think, is the finest resort in Alaska. I bought it after fishing at it since 1995. Bought it in 2006. So I fished there 10 years before I bought it. Couple owned it, elderly couple, sweet people. And you're looking at the round thing. There's the round restaurant, looking out over the most beautiful bay you've ever seen. You're looking at some of the rooms. On top of the hill, there's a whole bunch of more. 52 rooms came with this thing. Those green boats down there, tour boats, very expensive. They came with it. And then we had a whole bunch of the other boats that guided boats where you put 4 people on it and the guide takes you out fishing, which is what I've done every single year. You see that falls there on the, that's why they call it Salmon Falls, waterfalls right there. Gorgeous place. Why do people go there? To catch fish like this. That's why. That's a 147-pound halibut. And in case you're wondering, yes, I caught it, but you'll never know whether I did or didn't, because there's a rule up there. He who is standing beside the fish caught the fish. Nobody's going to disclose anything different. Right? Now, you want to know how big these babies get? Try this. Look at that fish. 327-pound halibut caught in Alaska. There's no way I want that thing. No way. I'm telling you right now. It's like pulling up a truck that won that size. I can't imagine trying to pull up that thing or how long it took to get him up. Besides, when they're that big, they ain't no very good to eat anyway. But if you're going to eat that guy, you'd be munching on it quite a while, wouldn't you? So, oh, there's the rooms upstairs. Our green roof thing there is just where the help sleeps. The dock there is one that goes out to the boats. And by the way, up there, the tide rises and falls 20 feet every single day. So that dock pivots with them. There's some of the self-guided boats people can go up there and fish in. Not me. I want a guide doing all the work and finding the fish for me and taking them off the hook. And when they come back, they got guys down on the dock that'll fillet them and vacuum pack them and just sit them freeze them. So the next morning they'll go and they'll take them in a box, a waxed box, band it around. You check them in as leggage. Box holds about 50 pounds of fillets, both halibut and salmon, which will last you probably 2 years unless you give them all away. Better view of the rooms. It's a really cool place to go. There's one of my students with his halibut trying to outdo me, but I think mine weighed a pound more than his, if I'm not sure. One beautiful view, especially when the sun's rising or setting. Ketchikan, Alaska. Now, don't bother looking it up because now it's been sold and it's some kind of a rehab center, if you can imagine. Just can't even picture that on that beautiful property, but that's what I've heard. We operated for 3 years, gave it back to the seller. 2008 came. All of our reservations went away in less than a month for the following year. It was already in extremely negative cash flow, and I couldn't get them to work with me on that because, frankly, they didn't care. All right, they wanted their money, so property wouldn't produce it, so they got it back. That's a $2 million lesson I don't want you to take. There's my numbers. Now look what I did down here at the bottom. First, there's a 10-year balloon on it. Figured we'd have a refinance long before that. Look at the payment. How would you like a $43,750 payment per month? Okay, the property was producing enough income to make the payment, but I'll tell you, the first 2 years was a little negative cash flow. Third year, we was about break even, and we could see it going up from there. But then 2008 came. I negotiated 6 months with no payments going in. If I paid it off within the first year at 20% discount, second year, 15%, third year, 10%, right in the note. We didn't have to discuss it later. No personal liability, of course. No way. Am I glad I didn't personally guarantee that debt? So I don't know. I gave it to you for a reason. I bought it with owner financing. There were no banks involved, no liability involved. Somebody put up the down payment. That was me. And I even brought 2 partners in to run the thing. And they did. They did a nice job for 3 years. And then we all had to bail out. All right. I hope you've seen enough to know you need to see more. And what I want to impress upon you right now is let's start working together on some smaller properties. Okay. I'm not going to work with you on a $30 million project. I'll work with you on the smaller projects like I've just laid out in front of you. Preferably a little land, need a little land thrown in there, from farms to lots in the middle of the city, because it's so easy, and it's pretty easy for us to get in and out of it because we don't do anything except hire a realtor. On my wall down here in the building, there's a great big old poster sent to me by Hector Padilla out of California, Southern California. Might want to take a screenshot of that so you can get a chance to read it. And this will show you what can happen when somebody decides to put their pedal to the metal and move forward instead of thinking about it for 2 years or 5 years or whatever. Now, I can't read that, but I can tell you Hector is, when he sent this letter, he was over $79 million in commercial property that he owned. And later he sent me one where he's over 100. I don't know where he's at now. But Hector made buying commercial properties his work, and it provided him with a very nice living. Took all his family on vacation, bought his mom a house, did all kind of cool things he describes there. And where did it all start, folks? There's got to be a starting point. There's got to be a turning point. It started right here in my event. Years ago, I can't even remember what year he came in, but you know, he's where he's at now because he decided to move forward. You know, he's still going, So took all kinds of out of the country vacations, and I don't know, tons of stuff. It's what happens when you make more money than you need to live on. So he's a great example of what I'd like to see happen to y'all if you're willing. Remember though, we're in a part-time business. Part-time, even commercials, part-time. It ain't really full-time. Got so many systems out there today to do all the work for you. You don't need to spend full-time at it. When you come down here, Hector sent me a big old poster. I'm looking at it right now. It's right over there on the wall, already in the framed and everything. Okay, so it's up there for you to view. I got a 3-day event that I told you about. I'll tell you a little bit more about it, and I'm gonna give you an opportunity to say yes or no. You're going to get finding deals is all going to be online, almost all. Okay? And I'll give you a few productive sites to go to, find pretty much any kind of deal that you want. In fact, I got a whole page of sites in the manual. So you're going to learn how to locate prospects using multiple techniques, but I'm telling you, most of it's online today. In fact, I sat there on loopnet.com looking at projects yesterday, which you don't even need to be a member of LoopNet. I don't know. I think it costs maybe 100, 150 a year to be a member, but you got a free part where you can pretty much look up for projects, and I'm going to teach you how to pre-screen them so you'll know which ones to pull up when you go there and tell them what kind of property you want, where you want them. Pre-screening prospects, and like that's not important or anything, is it? Huh? Is it just as important that you learn what to pre-screen out the junk very quickly so you don't waste time on a golden turd, as I call it? Is it a deal or is it a dud? The math will tell you. Because in commercial, it's all about the math. And when you learn that math, it's very easy to screen them once you figure out they got a problem. Remember, I don't even mess with them unless I can see there's a problem. I have vacancy, low rents, need rework, whatever the problem tends to be. I want the problem because that's going to help me get the kind of price on it that I would want. Just like houses. Houses either need renovated or the seller's got a problem. They need to get out. Seller's problem or house problem. One of the two. We don't buy anything that isn't one of the two. Easy identifiers. I've got a whole list of them to spot the best prospects immediately so you don't spend needless time looking at stuff you know never going to buy. how to do the math while pre-screening to determine the future value. In other words, I want to know what this thing is going to be worth when I buy it. I mean, when I sell it, and it's going to be a lot more than what I paid when I buy it. That's simple math. If the math don't work, you can't cheat the math. Those who try to fudge on the math wind up going to a seminar. The math is what it is based on reality, not what somebody else gave you, told you. In other words, we're going to know what the general expenses are when an income when we first get the property. You think for a minute, I'm never going to buy it unless I verify all of those numbers. So there's a immediate front end offer, and then there's due diligence even after we get it accepted. And there's quite a few due diligence. And of course, due diligence is different on income producing properties than it is on land. There isn't much due diligence to do on land, but there is some. And there's a lot more to do on income producing properties. And I got a whole list of due diligence that you want to do, depending on the type of property that you are looking at to buy. And of course, we teach all of that at the boot camp. And my commercial mastermind group, we actually do all of that for a whole year. I'll get to that in a minute for you. Fortunately, you have the opportunity today to get trained and then immediately start implementing with the help of Mark and I, very qualified people to help you. Constructing offers, that's the whole key. We're going to learn how to construct offers that we can buy, not just put it under contract and try to flip it. I never did like that. Man, that's a very difficult thing to do when you're in commercial property. Some people are doing it. I get all of that. But I got to tell you, I know that it takes usually 2 to 3 months to do just the due diligence on the property. And nobody in their right mind is going to buy a commercial property without doing the due diligence on it. So time frame doesn't look too good there. Incidentally, if I put it under contract to buy, I still got the right to go sell it if I want to, while I'm doing the due diligence or even after I've done it both ways. But that's not the end game that I like doing. I know it'd be nice if you put one under contract and wholesale it, and you could, but conditions have to be perfect for you to do that. So I'm not against flipping. I'm just telling you, it's a lot harder than it is with houses. Presenting offers, yep. Many of them go through brokers, and so I present the offer to the broker, and I like brokers in the commercial world now. They get me all the information that I need. It's all their problem. I don't have to spend any time. Here's what I need. Go get it. Get it back to me. And trust me, any of these commercial brokers are all up on owner financing because I try to buy everything with owner financing. If I buy for cash, I'm paying a fraction of what it's worth. I won't do it. But you got to learn to work with these brokers, and they're easier to work with than residentials are. They understand creative financing, seller financing. They get all that. They get the due diligence. They get most of them crap out on you. They understand what they're doing. And of course, it's all their job to go bring in the buyers. How to prepare an LOI, that's a letter of intent or a letter of interest. And it's how we do it in commercial world. We get all our stuff together and figure out what we want to offer long after the seller, the big realtor has told us what they want. And then we, when it's a go, we just one-page LOI, a letter of intent, just naming the general terms of the offer, send that to the broker. Broker does the rest. And one of 3 things are going to happen. They'll come back and want to change it somewhat, which they generally do. Or they'll come back and say, no, we're not even close, forget it. Or they won't come back at all. I think one of those 3 are going to happen. Well, or they accept it. Most of the time, there's some little thing to change. There's no contract prepared until the LOI gets everything accepted that we need to put into the contract. And again, that's the agent's problem to get that done. You won't even talk to the seller. I've only talked to one seller that I can think of in the whole time that I've been buying commercial properties. That's the one where in the 57 acres in Ypsilanti. We did get to talk to him. Well, actually, we didn't when we bought it. I talked to him when we got paid off, though, because I called him and I got a discount on the $600,000 mortgage that I owed him. I get discounts on all seller financing. Special clauses worth their weight in gold, folks. I mean, a lot of years I've been doing this. Along the way, I create clauses to fix something that got broke, which triggered me to create the clause. You won't get them anywhere else on the planet. And they go in your contract. Financing. We got to figure out how to finance these things, don't we? All right. If we don't know how we're going to get out of it, we better not get in it. Okay, what's the plan here? What's plan 1? What's plan 2? What's plan 3? And you need to quit worrying about the word financing. And technically, you partner with me, it ain't your problem. And if you want to do it, incidentally, I'll partner with you as a CMG member. I'll partner with you. And I don't need no 75% if you're going to put up the money, but we still will guide you through the project so that you don't make I promise you're going to make a ton of mistakes. We're not working with you, because where do you think I learned all this stuff? All right. Made all the stupid mistakes. Well, I only made all of them. I think there's still more coming. Real life financing that we can get done. That's why I like owner financing. I always go in for owner financing first. Well, almost always. And if I can't get that done and they're not willing to sell it at a deeply discounted wholesale price, we ain't going to do anything with it. How to get others to sign on how to get partners like Mark did. Put up the down payment. I'll tell you right now, if you got a deal that makes a lot of money, you aren't going to have too much trouble finding people that will be glad to put up the money, okay, for some percentage of that deal. Plus, I'm going to talk about private placements when we get there, where we do this private placement and we raise money from private investors. I want to get in there with you. I did a lot of those along the way. How to know what you can get from a refi. Let's say you buy an apartment complex. Goal is to buy it, fix it, go refinance it with a government on a no liability loan for 40 years at a decent interest rate, and again, non-recourse. So that only works on income producing properties, but it'll work on almost all of them. Anything that produces income, pretty much, the government has got a special loan just for that. Some to buy, rehab, and then sell. Some to just rehab after it's bought. We're going to know what's our exit strategy. Remember those 2 apartment complexes I showed you that, well, I guess both of them were boarded up. That was my plan. I was going to buy them, get all the facts together and what it cost to renovate them, getting the estimates, and then getting the FHA loan processor to get the loan packaged the rest of the way and get a loan on it. So a non-recourse loan. That's why I go to them. It's non-recourse. Exit strategies, well, there are many. One, you can keep it. You can flip it before you do anything. You can flip it before you even rezone it if it needs rezoning. You can change its use to a higher and better use, meaning I want to get it zoned from maybe farmland to single family houses. The more houses I can get on the property, the more the property is worth, or townhouses, or apartment complexes, whatever's conducive of where it's at. So that's the first question I ask. What's around it? What's around it? That kind of tells us what needs to go there. So then we can rezone it and create 2 to 3 times the value of the property, especially if you're putting something with some density there. The more density, the more that land is worth, residential or commercial. How to make a lot of money. I'm going to teach you this. I never own a property. In fact, that's pretty much everything I teach. And also how to pay taxes. Not pay taxes, I mean, how to do this without you paying taxes. And legally, I might add. Teach us tax reduction strategies. What's some things you can do and you can't do to eliminate taxes legally. That's one gorilla we don't want to dance with, folks. Our brother in Washington, the IRS. That's the biggest collection company in the world. They have rights that no other entity has to come after you and get what you got, and even your home in most states. Big finder's fee. I will pay $25,000 for you to send me a project that I buy. If I buy it, you get 25 grand up front. Now you get that even if you just attend the boot camp. You're not required to be in my CMG group to get that. And I want you to bring deals to class. All right, we will program you ahead of time. In fact, one thing I'm going to send you is a recording of another commercial boot camp I did a couple of years ago. Right away, you can listen to that if you want. But we're going to send you some other thing on how to pre-screen properties and bring them to class. We don't do deals in class every event we have because sometimes it's only a 3-day event and sometimes it takes us a couple of days just to even get rid of the agent. And it's really unrealistic to expect that that agent's going to get all this done and all it back within the 3 days that we're here. And now when I do house boot camps, we get an answer when we get them on the phone. We're talking directly to the seller. But when you got people in the middle, it just takes up more time. Bring deals to class and maybe we can get one. Whether we get it or not, you'll learn how to pre-screen. You'll learn how to, well, it's not a deal, which probably is what you will learn, or need to learn before you learn how to qualify prospects that you're looking at. We're doing in Jacksonville. I'm sitting in the room right now. There's only 2 dates. I want to take a screenshot of them. The room only holds 45 people. And we're going to spend a good amount of that time screening your deals, I hope. But believe me, we got plenty to do in those 3 days. And you can bring a guest. Guest is free. It must be parent, child, spouse, significant other, or somebody in your business, but they're free. And frankly, you should bring a guest. And if you're married and your spouse doesn't really have any interest in it, you might want to bring them to let me get them interested in it. I'll fix them for you if you bring them. Okay, if they're a little skeptical. We're in Jacksonville, Florida, where the weather is always beautiful. Normally, when I started doing this back in, I don't know, maybe 2003 or 4, it cost $6,000 to get in this event. Currently today, we're charging $29.95. However, today, we're charging $19.95, and that's per couple if you register before this day is over. Now, note down at the bottom, masters, because some of you watching are masters. I know you are. This boot camp is a requirement for you to become a master. If you haven't been, you need to get there so we can get you graduated. And if you don't know what a master is, don't worry about it. I'm not going to discuss it today. But I'm going to send you this as soon as you register. Pre-screening course, and then a whole taped boot camp itself. But you got to register here today to get that. And you'll have plenty to listen to. In fact, you should be out there looking for deals before, way before your June boot camp. Bring them with you. I just covered that. Down at the bottom, the phone number there is where you call to register, or you can go to ronlegrand.com/CP, commercial properties, and register there. All right. Now you become eligible to join my commercial mastermind group. We call it CMG. And the details, when you go to register for the event, the details are right there for you to pull up and look at on CMG, which is actually a year-long commercial coaching program. It's call a month, one call a month, and Mark is there anytime you want to send in a prospect to examine whether you want us to be a partner or not. He's going to examine it, do all the due diligence on it for you, which you're going to learn how to do when you come and get trained. So you'll learn a lot from Mark with these calls, and then you got access to him throughout the whole week. And then, of course, you got 3 of these commercial mastermind group meetings per year here in Jacksonville. So you got plenty of help on any deal you want, anytime you want to get started. Our first boot camp is in July, but I certainly wouldn't want you to wait around till then. Get in the commercial mastermind group, and you'll learn what to look for. Right now, that's all you need to know: what to look for and where to go look for it at. You can partner with me if you want, if I put up the money. If I don't put up the money, we'll guide you through your deals at a 50-50 split. And frankly, 50-50 split, but I certainly don't get all of that. Mark gets a very big chunk of it as well. So trust me, I'd say your chances are extremely high to get a deal to the end or even accepted without us working with you. Okay, that's why I formed this group. Well, I kind of formed this group for that reason. To tell you the truth, that's not the big reason I formed this group. All right? You see, when you bring me deals, we do the deals, I get 75%. So why am I doing it? Well, it's called greed. Right? Let me help you get through these deals. You'll learn as you go. You'll get a piece of the action. And frankly, I don't get, Mark gets part of that as well. I don't get all of that. But so what? I guess you might ask yourself, what am I going to get if I don't use these guys? And the answer is probably, well, probably know the answer. Probably nothing. And you'll never know how much you lost because that's hard to measure. I only partner with CMG members. Now, I'm not asking you to be a CMG member today. In fact, you can't be one today, all right? But you got to get to this boot camp or I can't accept you. So if you're not registered for this boot camp, I can't approve you to be a CMG member. If you're registered and you want to be a CMG member, after you get all this information, then you can do it now. We'll start working with you immediately, and you really be prepared for this boot camp when it comes in July. We can finance it for you. Don't worry about that. We don't check your credit. It costs you a little more if we finance it, but in the big picture, it really doesn't make any difference. So there you go. I'm going to send you previous tape one. Your cost is only $19.95 for all of this today, and you can come back to the one later in the year if you want it, no charge. So finder's fee will pay for all of that, won't it? Many times over. Now, here's something cool we do at CMG. If you work with Mark and I on one or more deals, and we get deals that net over $1 million, any year is not correct. We're going to get deals. They probably won't net over $1 million this year, but if we get them this year and we get over $1 million total, I'm going to buy you a new Mercedes and drive it to your house. Hear what I said? I'm going to buy you a new Mercedes and drive it to your house. Now, why on earth would I do that? Well, remember, we got to get them. If we get over $1 million in profit, remember, you get 25% of that right off the bat. So, plus a new Mercedes. So, that's a challenge for you. And if you don't drive a Mercedes, you might consider it. It is very difficult to sit behind that seat, behind that wheel, and look out over that hood and look through that Mercedes emblem and get depressed. All right. You're eligible for CMG as soon as you register for the boot camp. The facts are on there when you register for the boot camp. You can either, by the way, you get the same thing when you call, or you can go to ronaldgrand.com/CMG, and there's all the facts you need. In addition to that, I'm going to record a recording to talk about CMG and what we do there and all that. I'll send that to you as well, whether you register today or not. But if you register today, get this, better make a note. It's not on my PowerPoints. If you register today, I'm going to give you, well, I'm going to say if you register by the end of the week. I guess that's tomorrow, isn't it? For the boot camp. When you do register for CMG, if not now, I'm going to give you the $2,000 you paid for the boot camp, which means it's $2,000 off. All right. But you're only going to get that if you register for the boot camp today. So that's right. I'm not going to give you a free boot camp if you're not registered for it today. But again, you got time to register for the CMG. And I want you to get all the information before you even register. And now, even further, well, this is in the stuff that you're going to get, but I'm going to let you attend the July event after you register for CMG. And if you think it's not for you, I'll give you a full refund and then go do something else. No risk. 3 meetings a year here in Jacksonville. July 30 and 31 is the next one. Make a note of that. These are live meetings now. We're not going to do this virtual. Can't. It's live meetings. I mean, we do calls. We do stuff here you can't do virtual.
Ron, I think that's a typo. It's June 30 through 31st.
30.
No.
I don't know. You better check that out right now. Oh, no, this is the CMG meeting, John.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not the boot camp.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah. So you come to the boot camp in June, you come back, see me a month later, and you're in the group. In the group. Best way to predict your future is to create it. If you don't create it, nobody else will. Only when the student is ready can the teacher appear. So, are you ready? I made my case. I brought you to bear. It's up to you to skin him. So let's do some life-changing deals together. Besides, what do you got to lose? $2,000? It's nothing. That's 40% of what this thing used to cost. It's nothing. Again, you can get that back. well, you can't get that back. You got 30 days, so you can get that back. But if once you come to CMG, if that's not for you, then you can exit. No cost, no extra cost, and get your money back. Remember Mark and Hector? He started somewhere. You got to start somewhere. Got to make a commitment. Whatever better time than right now. So get on that website or call that number and get registered right now while I'm taking their questions. John, I assume we have some?
We got several questions. If anybody would like to come on and speak to Ron live with using your webcam, just type in live over here in the chat section and I will hit a button and it'll invite you to join. So we'd appreciate it if a couple people would like to come on and talk to Ron in person. Meanwhile, we'll go through some of these questions they typed out. Dang says, how do you find commercial leads on Dreams Pro?
Right now, they're not on Dreams Pro, but I know that they're coming. I just can't tell you when. But there's tons of other websites you can use. LoopNet is one of them. Loop, L-O-O-P, net.com. Write that one down. Dang, I was going to give you tons of properties to look at. Tons of properties.
Gary says, what is the advantage of going with your program versus like Lance Edwards' small apartment programs?
Lance is a good friend of mine. He teaches apartments, only apartments, small apartments, meaning less than 100. And honestly, you should do both because he's very good at what he does. And he pays finder's fees as well because he's also got a fund you can invest in to buy commercial properties, but you don't choose one or the other. You do both. I don't know what Lance is charging right now, but I strongly suggest you get to his event as well. But remember, he's a specialist focusing just on apartments. All right. So good question, though.
All right. We got Joshua wanted to come on live with you. So again, anyone, if you want to come on live and talk to Ron, just type live in the chat section. So here is Joshua.
Hey, Ron, how's it going?
Good. Where are you at today?
I'm outside of Orlando.
Oh,
Florida.
almost our neighbor, huh? All right.
Yes, sir.
What would you like to know?
Yeah, I got a deal I'm looking at now. It's got 3 buildings on the property, 7 motel rooms, a restaurant, and a barber shop. The restaurant and barber shop are paying, I think, total of $2,800 in rent. And the 7 motels are being renovated right now. I mean, the unit is block. The roofs are in good shape. It's not run down too bad. The owner's asking $630,000 for it.
Okay. Next question I would ask you, Joshua, is do you know what the projected NOI is going to be?
Net operating income?
Yeah.
Well, I've kind of tallied it up. I mean, I think these units could get $20,000 a month.
NOI, Joshua, not gross.
I don't know that.
Okay, well, you got to know that before you can go any further. And you guys sending me deals. If you got an income producing property, I got to have the financials or there's nothing to talk about.
Right.
Got to know what the current income is and the current expenses and what the future income should be, which is called a pro forma, and future expenses to determine a realistic NOI, which will determine how much you could pay for the property and whether the seller is asking too much or too little.
He's supposed to be sending me the pro forma. There's a motel across the street. He says he gets $50 a night over there. And I've been to the property. I walked it. They're putting new floors down, new AC units in. And I do Airbnbs right now, short-term rentals. So I've set up many units and done everything from start to finish to get them on the market and rented. So I would be the one probably, running this thing, at least in the beginning. And
that worries me. You're really not hiring. You're really not buying a property. You're buying a business. Just happen to come along with a property. So somebody's got to run that business, And then it better be worth the effort to do it. And again, we got to get to the NOI, realistic NOI, to figure that out. And some of the things I'll teach you about that is, you better look at that expense list, because there's almost always something missing. For example, net operating income does not include the principal or the interest. Sometimes they do put it on there, not knowing any better. Very rarely doesn't include management, and if it is, it's too low of a number. And there's no reserves anywhere on most people's on their income statement. So we got to go through all of that stuff. So I'll tell you what, if you will, have we discussed owner financing yet for the seller?
Yes, I have talked with him. He will hold some paper. He doesn't want to hold a whole lot, but he is open to that.
Well, he's got to be more open than that,
Right.
because you're not interested. I mean, you're going to give me down payment, but you got to have well, how am I going to get this down payment back, and how long is it going to take? And then where's the down payment going to come from? Because it sounds like you got a lot of work to do to get the hotel ready yet, even after they're through. Is that a good assumption?
I walked a few of the properties. They're working on them right now. They have new, I think 3 of them aren't completed yet. So they're working on those 3 right now. They put new window units in. They're pretty simple boxes, so
Yeah.
Bathrooms, I mean, they just need to be furnished basically.
Yeah. I'd look for some permanent residents for those. Some
Yeah.
people going to live in, I don't know
It'd be a
who.
mix of both.
Yeah. I don't know who, but that sounds like just a place for them.
Yeah,
Probably
but
veterans.
it's already pulling in 2,800. I
Okay.
think the payments on it would be around 3,500 at that price. Being
Okay.
financed.
Well, we don't know. Remember, you think your net operating income is that number as is?
No, that would be the mortgage payments, insurance, taxes, PIT. I
Okay.
think it was like 3,500, 3,700.
Don't forget, you got all that other stuff called expenses.
Yep.
Then you add the payment to it, and then you need a substantial cash flow above that, or a way to get to that without too much time and money spent on it. $50 a night. I mean, where can you go any place for $50 a night? So that thing has got to be grossly underutilized. In fact, you might even rent those out HUD if you want to. HUD's going to pay a lot more than that. I mean, a lot more than that. If in fact they got people that, I don't know, maybe even the illegal aliens through some organization here to put them. I don't know. All that needs to be checked out. But that $50, well, $50 a night, how much is that? That's $1,500 a month, isn't it? But you're not going to be renting them all 30 days, are you?
It depends. I mean, I would put whatever I could do to maximize occupancy.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, if you get the real expenses and income and send them to me, I'll take a look at them.
Okay.
Got to give me the address.
Yep.
But I think you're going to be doing a lot of work here without finding out for sure if this seller is going to be motivated enough for you to even care.
He
'Cause
seems
this
pretty
is one-
motivated. He seems like he's got some health issues.
Okay.
He
Well,
called.
My offer will be something like $50,000 down, and then, maybe a 5-year balloon on the balance with a low monthly payment.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even make that kind of an offer till I find out what the numbers are.
Okay.
You live near a project?
Yeah, I've already got boots on the ground. I went over to it last week and actually looked at it myself.
Well, that's good. That's good. But I doubt you'd ever get any bank financing on it for sure, but you don't care because you don't need it.
Yeah. Why do you think that?
It's just kind of a property that banks ain't going to look at very hard with all that different uses on it like that. There might be some kind of a lender out there, but probably not a bank.
Okay.
And then, by the way, if you get a 5-year, I wouldn't do it for less than a 5-year balloon.
Yeah.
Because there's no need to put that pressure on you just to take it off the seller. You got to have a reason to buy this thing. So the seller, by the way, the sellers don't have other offers. So you make them an offer after you get the facts. They don't like it. You just sit on it and I'll contact them every month. Still got it. Sooner or later, they're going to say, no, please come get this thing.
Yeah, I think he's had it up for about a year now. He dropped it
Uh,
70,000 the first of this month. And I've talked to him. I think he's going to go out there today. I might meet with him out there. But it seems like he's pretty motivated. He keeps calling me.
uh-huh.
And I've discussed owner financing with him, and he says a bank will finance this easy. Call a bank. You know,
Sure.
but he is open to holding some paper. But he
The
wants.
word "some" don't work
Yeah.
for me. Okay.
Right.
But you don't know what he's going to do until you make an offer. And I've told my students that 100 times. Don't try to second guess what somebody else will do. You make them an offer and you'll know very quickly what they want to do and where their head is, because he's not getting any others. That's
Yeah.
not the kind of property most investors are looking for. All right.
Yep. Thanks for your time.
All right. You got to remind me now that we had this conversation by the time you get all this together.
And
I'll
where do I
forget it.
send it to?
You can send it to ask@ronlegrand.com and I'll get it.
Perfect. Thanks, Ron.
All right.
Thank you, Joshua. We got someone else who wants to talk to you live, Sylvie. Again, if anyone else wants to talk to Ron live, just type live in that chat section and I'll bring you up. Here is Sylvie.
Hi, Sylvie.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Where are you at?
Pardon me?
Where are you at now?
I live in Gatineau, Quebec, in Canada, and we're
Oh.
just a sister city of Ottawa, the
Hey,
nation's capital.
all right.
So,
Largest single family boot camp I ever did was in Calgary.
oh, okay. Well, that's the
Four.
other end of the country. So,
Yeah, I know. 480 people.
wow.
What the
That's a
heck of
good. That's a good turnout in Canada because we're a small country compared to yours, population wise.
Well, I was working with a group up there that would put the people in the seats. Kind of like to go back there someday.
Well,
All right.
you might have to drive that Mercedes to me, and then I'll drive you back home with it.
No, I'd catch a plane back home.
Oh, I get it.
And I'd probably buy the car just on this side of the border if it doesn't create any other problem. I don't know what it takes. Or I might even buy it in Canada. What's your conversion rate today?
Yeah, the economy in Canada needs your business. Yeah.
You know what the conversion rate is on money?
Right now, I think it's 34 cents difference.
Okay. So that means your dollar is worth 66% of our dollar.
Yes.
Okay. All right. What can I do for you?
Well, I played Little League with real estate here in my area, neighborhood city, and bought a property for taxes not paid, $56,200. A year and a half later, I sold it at $121,000. I love the feeling. I was also a private lender with my my HELOC, but I've been scammed. People who I lent money to are not returning the money. Here in Canada, I'm really disappointed. But hey, I'm going to prove them that I'm going to show them that things can be done differently and they don't have to scam people or rob them. But I love, you're not greedy. You're definitely not greedy.
Nah.
Working at that age still, it's because you're doing your passion, and sharing your knowledge is gold. But I just can we do the exact same business in Canada?
Almost.
Yeah, and
Canada,
would you support
almost.
me with that as well, or?
Oh, absolutely.
Super.
I even got Canadian agreements on my our Gold Club site, but you do the same thing we do. A few different terms. For example, you don't call it a deed; you call it a title, I think. And I don't know.
Yes, that's right.
And you use LLCs up there, but everything else is pretty much the same.
Okay. And the next boot camp in Jacksonville is actually in June.
We talk about residential or commercial.
Well, I want to go commercial now.
All right. What was it, John? June what?
Sorry, give me 1 second. Let me look it up here.
All right.
Thought it was June. Okay, yeah, June 10th through 12th here in Jacksonville, Florida.
Write it
Super.
down, 10 through 12.
Okay, and I'm willing to help you organize another boot camp here in Ottawa.
I've never been to Ottawa.
It's It's a nice
you true.
politician city, most and governmental. So,
Aren't they all?
well, thank you so
Well,
much for your time, and
thank you.
I think you just got another follower here.
Well, I can use all them I can get.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate
Thanks
you.
for the kind words.
Bye now.
Bye.
All right. Thank you, Sylvie. We got a few more questions here. Michael says, how do we comp land?
You comp it with other land. That's how you comp it. Sometimes that's a little hard to do. But worst case, if you're buying it through the broker, that's their problem. They got to comp it for you, and then you got to take a look and see if you think their numbers are correct. But let's say it's a piece of land, and next door to it is a housing development. All right. Therefore, you can immediately know, based on what those properties sold for, what yours would sell for about the same price if you built that same house there. Right? And that'll tell you the whole screening process on whether you want to take the land and cut it into single family lots and or especially build houses on it will depend on what's around you, because you got to have a house today. It's got to be maybe $350,000, $400,000 minimum to actually have it make sense to build a house anymore, because the costs are so high. And that's if you get a reasonable piece of land. Today, right now, the developed lot shouldn't be more than about 15% of the sales price of the house that's built on it, which is a good thumbnail, and that's all it is. So what you can always get, any commercial broker can comp land for you, which is the easy way to do it, especially if you're working with one to get in it.
Angela asks, I want to make sure I understand. You do not partner or pay the $25,000 finder fee unless we join the boot camp by the end of the week.
That's not what I said, Angela. I said, I'm going to pay you the $25,000 finder's fee, whether you're in CMG or not, just if you come to the boot camp. Because I don't even want to talk with you unless you come to the boot camp. We won't be able to speak the same language. The CMG is totally optional for you to register for quickly. And if you do, you're going to get a $2,000 discount to cover what you paid for the boot camp. So you get the CMG and the boot camp. By the way, the CMG costs $15,000 a year, just so you'll know, and used to be $25,000. So I guess that answers the question. That answer the question, John?
I think so. So there was a couple of questions about CMG. That is a separate thing, but you do require that they attend the commercial property boot camp first.
I require they sign up for it if they want to start with it now and then get in on the calls and anything you want to have pre-screened. But then you need to get to the one coming up here in June, because I'm telling you, for your own benefit, I can't take you if you haven't been to that boot camp. Just can't do it. I know what it's like. And you wind up doing nothing because you haven't learned the basics yet.
Fred says, I can't make it in June. Can I take advantage of the deal today and go to the next boot camp?
Of course. And remember, I'm sending you a previous one taped anyway. You can use that.
And the next one is in October.
Right.
If you missed June. But yeah, you do get those tapes of a previous event.
Yeah. And you can come to both of them. No extra charge for the second one if you want.
Jonathan says, can we partner with Ron for land deals without purchasing a course? Bird dogs.
You can send me a land deal that I buy, but you can't partner with me unless you're in CMG. Boot camp gets you the rights to send me bird dog deals. CMG not only gives you the right to partner with me, but also work with you throughout the entire deal, because somebody's got to, we got to be there when you need us if we're going to partner. You're going to do anything that requires being done locally. We're going to do everything else, pretty much everything else. But again, CMG is where you're going to learn the ropes, because all along the while, we teach you the whole year. Throughout the entire year, you're going to learn so much just by doing it. Because if you're like me, you sit in the classroom till your ears bleed, and you ain't going to get it unless you get out there and do hands-on. And I understand that. That's what CMG is all about. And to be honest, yes, I want you to send me deals, okay? But I'm not, when you send me a deal that you want to partner on, I'm going to do everything I can to not partner with you, to try to work with you and maybe restructure this thing, or maybe where you get the money. Because I know what it's like if I partner with you and take 75% of the profits, and when we get paid, you're thinking to yourself, my goodness, why did I give up 75% of the profits? So CMG is to help you get through the deal, whether we're partners or not. And again, 50% if I don't put up the money on that first deal.
Gary says, where do you get commercial and land FSBOs from?
We're going to give you an opportunity to be a CREXI member for some cheap price we've negotiated, which is a big site that's got all commercial and everything you want to know about each property and so forth. That's one place you're going to get it. And you're going to, if you're looking at a property and in the city that you're not in, the smartest thing to do is just have a realtor go take a look at it and tell you what they think they could sell it for, even if it's listed, and then talk about what do you think the highest and best use is, and what do you think it would take to get it to that point. Other than that, I know there's a couple more, but I can't think of them right now, comp sites for that. Once they get commercial on dreamspro.ai, I'm sure there'll be comp sites for that as well.
And what about LoopNet?
I don't know if they got comps on LoopNet or not, because I don't go in there often enough to be a member. And that means you can't get through to some of the cool stuff they got in the back. So that's worth checking out. But I don't know. I'd rather get a broker in the area and tell them I'm looking to buy this, and when I do, I'm going to list it. So if you're interested, go out and tell me what you think it's good for, and what do you think it should be used for, and how we can change the use to a higher use.
Okay, Sasha asks, can you do commercial before being experienced in residential?
Yeah, sure. But, I'd rather you do residential as well. You don't need to do one or the other. Residential is where you're going to get quick money. You're not really getting quick money in commercial. So it's not for everybody.
Charlene asks, what if you already own a small multifamily 8-unit that needs tons of repairs?
Well, you didn't tell me whether you owe anything on it or not. Okay. If you haven't got it over financed right now, you can go get a private loan on it to get the money to repair it. And that's from a human being. We teach you how to do that as well. I'm telling you, not from anybody that knows anything about the loan business. These are just people, largely with their IRAs, who want to get a higher rate of return on their money, which is somewhere around 8-9%. And when you borrow that money, you borrow it so you're not making payments. You borrow it so the payments accrue. So when they get paid off, they get principal plus interest, which is the way they'd rather do it. They don't mess around with a monthly payment. And by the way, Jay Connor's pretty much the king of that. He's always at my residential boot camp that I do one almost every single month. And in fact, Jay went out and raised $2.2 million within 3 months after attending my residential boot camp, and he's been a private lender expert ever since. And again, I learned a long time ago, I'm not borrowing from mortgage brokers who charge me points, who tell me I got to pay it off within a year, and who dictate my interest rate to me. We borrow from human beings, and we dictate the terms to them, period. And we learn to ask questions and then answer questions with questions. Like, what is the lowest possible interest rate that you could take? Something like that. And we don't ever borrow more than 70% of the R, the after repaired value.
All right, so I'm getting a lot of questions, a little bit of confusion about commercial property boot camp, CMG. So could you just recap the difference between the two and the price?
All right. Forget CMG for a moment. The commercial property boot camp is $19.95, which is a ridiculously low price. All right. That you register for separately, and you come in June. The CMG stands for Commercial Mastermind Group. My screen is froze, John. Thank you. I look better when I'm not sitting there with my mouth open. CMG is a year-long coaching program in which you have access to Mark every day in a monthly call, and 3 meetings a year here in Jacksonville. All right. The CMG is 15 grand. However, you buy it here now, it's 13 grand because you're getting the $2,000 discount that you paid to get into the commercial boot camp, which is, I had never even come close to selling it at that price. It's worth many, many, many times that. Okay. So you don't have to buy CMG. You do have to buy commercial boot camp if you want to go into this business. Again, I can't accept you in CMG until I know you at least registered for the commercial boot camp. And of course, if you're watching this and you've been in commercial boot camp, well, hey, you should come back again. It's free. But you can get CMG as long as you register for or have been through commercial boot camp. I think that makes it clear. The information on CMG, when you go register with boot camp, you'll find the information right there. Plus, I'm going to send you a video telling you what we do there and what I'm not going to take time to do today.
And to answer another question, commercial property is part of the master's program. CMG is not. That is a separate thing.
CMG is not even going through global. That's an entity that Mark and I have to take you further in commercial.
Okay. Gary says, how did you handle apartments during the COVID rent suspensions?
I didn't have any apartments then. I had all houses. I never had one person call me and tell me they weren't going to pay the rent. Okay. Because I was prepared. I'm almost sad they didn't call me because I was prepared. Right? I put tenant buyers in houses, not tenants. They give me thousands of dollars up front, non-refundable option deposit, at no less than 5% of the sales price up front. All right. They don't pay their rent. That's at risk. They'll lose that. And they also do all the repairs. So there's nothing to handle. They knew that if they called me and didn't pay the rent, they're going to lose their deposit. And if they didn't know that, I would have told them that when they called me. I don't care if the government gives you permission not to pay your rent. I'm not giving you that permission. So unless you can talk my lender to let me have a free month as well, which ain't going to happen. Because I had that leverage over them, nobody called. Nobody. That's good too, because the government forgot to tell all of these folks that sooner or later they're going to have to requalify for this loan. And that alone caused a lot of people to go into foreclosure.
Okay, a couple more questions. Gary says, what kind of property criteria should I be looking for?
Something with a problem. All right. Let's take land. You just need to be looking for land, and you find land and it's already zoned at a high commercial use, you're wasting your time going any further because there's no way I can raise the value of it. But if you find it where it's zoned on farmland or whatever, and there's civilization near it, like houses next door, then I know what I'm going to do with that land. I'm going to buy it, see how high density I can get, and get it approved, and then sell it to a developer to develop the horizontal roads, water, and all that, and probably build houses on it. And they're building pretty heavily right now because we have a very shortage of housing in this country. So again, you got to know how to pre-screen it. So one of the questions I ask is, how far is a Walmart? Okay. If I got to go 15 miles to get a Walmart, we may be too far out of civilization. Are people moving in or are people moving out? So we do all that pre-screening. Mark does that for us. That's why we call him, what we call him?
The Grim Reaper.
Grim Reaper, that's right. They call me the Grouch. See, I got Groucho up here. They call him the Grim Reaper because he kills these deals, and rightfully so. Kills them quickly when he looks at the math and all the other things that you'll learn that you should know before you actually buy the property. All
Okay. Two more questions. Caesar says, what number of unit is the sweet spot in between small investors and a big investment company?
They don't want to touch anything less than 100 units. And frankly, they want more than that. All the big boys, all the hedge funds and so forth. They want, bigger. They want the biggest ones they can find because they're not dealing with their money. And money to them is totally different than money for the rest of us. And all they want to do is park it. And this commercial property with tenants in it is a pretty safe place to park it park money, because it ain't like stocks. It ain't going to go up and go down and down, wiped out and all that. Got real estate there. It ain't going anywhere but up. Sometimes it goes down, comes right back up. I take a look at the housing market here. I mean, last 2 years, our prices here in Jacksonville have been going down. And I can tell you that on 3 of them that I had out there on the market that I renovated, by the time I can get them ready to sell, their price dropped like that, which is why I advise people not to renovate houses today, because that might happen to them. It's happening most of the country. Now they're starting to level out again, and then they're going to go back up. When they go back up, they're going to go up higher than the last time. That's the way it's been in all of the 45 years I've been in business anyway. See no reason why it won't continue. And does that have anything to do with the question, John?
I think so.
I get on this lecture circuit here. I can't get off.
We got one last question. I'll type in the comment section, ask@ronlegrand.com. If you missed any questions or you think of something later, send an email there and Ron will answer you. Last question from Gary. Do you ever consider a single lot in a housing development?
Yes, I do, Gary. Especially when I can buy it with owner financing. Now, all I'm going to do is advertise it and get somebody to come buy it. Might just list it with a realtor. But if I buy it a lot, I got to buy it cheap or I have no reason to buy it. Because there ain't one thing I can do with it. Well, I guess I could build on it, but I'm telling you that I would not do that right now. So I'm got to sell that lot to some owner occupant who wants to put a house there. And that means I just need to do some free advertising on the internet. And, you know, a while goes by, I don't sell it, I'll go ahead and list it. But, you know, I don't know how big of a discount you're going to get from the builder, because they don't understand the values of this thing. But if you can buy it cheap enough, buy multiple lots in there if you can buy them cheap enough. Especially if you can get owner financing on them.
All right. We have answered all the questions for today.
Well, how about that? Okay. Don't forget, you can submit your questions at ask@ronlegrand.com. We're always here. And I'm looking forward to see you in a live boot camp. Commercials coming up. Do not let that pass. Do not sit around, I'll go in October. No, you won't. You and I both know you won't. You don't do it now, you won't do it at all. So go do it while it's so cheap, because that price won't be available in October. We're just trying to adapt to the market right now and help people out with a increase in living costs nowadays. So never had it that cheap before, but you know, you got the advantage here. So taking me up on it. I'll see you when I see you. Maybe hopefully here in Jacksonville in person. Thank you for tuning in.
I think the biggest light bulb for me is going from the mindset of the BRRRR method, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. I kind of thought that was my future, and Ron very, very quickly showed me a much easier, a much safer, a much more stable path to wealth. And of course, that's through owner financing in terms and doing it in such a way where you're never personally guaranteeing debt. And that's life-changing. That principle is really, I think, what a lot of real estate investors need to learn. Because most people, are just getting bank loan after bank loan after bank loan, and that's dangerous. So that was the biggest, aha moment for me.
Yeah, if you have doubts about trying this and doing it on your own, that you got to come to this quick start, and he'll show you how to get started. It's takes some work. You're going to have to spend some time learning and educating yourself, but it's worth it. All of his quick starts are really they'll open your eyes a little bit on what you can do, and you'd be surprised at what you can do without money and without credit.
What I would strongly suggest is don't give up. Don't be afraid. Everybody's going to be nervous, but just keep plugging forward. Use all of the amenities, for lack of better words, that are offered to you. Use your VA. Put out bandit signs. Do the free advertising. Do your due diligence with following up on the leads that you get from your VA or Gold Club or wherever you get them from. And don't get discouraged. I was lucky because within 6 months I made my first deal. Here we are a year and a half later, and Les just made his.
My first deal, yeah. And so I'd also add to that, get a lead, get a mentor, and do the very next thing you could probably do that I would say is get the script and learn how to talk on the phone.
Yeah, can't stress that enough with your practice calls to each other.
It's hard for me to do that. I was a D student in high school. I'm still a D student. But you give me a milling machine and I'll mill you out a putter head in about 30 minutes.
Not letting fear stop you and realizing that perhaps this is what you're meant for. I wasted a good 30 years chasing the, golden ladder, I guess as they call it, or whatever, and putting up with things that just was unconscionable in some cases, and before I realized, I'm getting advanced in age and maybe it's time for me to step into who I'm supposed to be. And the nice thing is that it's actually helped me to achieve the very thing that I had been trying to do my whole life, which is to help others, to love on others, and to kind of, just wrap my arms around them and say, hey, listen, I can help you solve these problems. I think that goes back to when my family and I lost our home when I was a very young man. It was devastating, and it forever changed my life. And but now I get to be the guy to go, hey, you know what? How much can you afford? I actually had a person tell me recently that they couldn't afford even close to what the house next door was going for, which was not as nice as the one they were about to rent from me. And I said, well, what can you afford? And I had to ask them 2 or 3 times. And finally they said, $700 a month. I know you're not going to take that. And I said, okay, I can work with that, And then their eyes got this big, really? Are you serious? I'm like, yeah, it's just money, And so it gives me the opportunity to be generous. It gives me the opportunity to love on people.
I'm just thankful I met Ron and that I've learned from him and all the opportunities that he gave us and this great group of people, because everyone here is just wonderful. It's a big family and everybody learns from everybody. We all keep in touch after the events and, we all hang out and text and just constantly keep in touch with each other. So it's a big family he's built here.